Good morning. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Welcome back to the Jeff Daugherty Show, Christian Whistleblower, NCK YouTube channel. Just a couple things that caught my attention early here in the day that I wanted to give you kind of a heads up on, take a look at. This from Coast to Coast AM, an odd UFO photographed in Canada. And this guy is a Canadian wildlife photographer. He was out taking wildlife pictures and noticed something that left him baffled. This thing was up high and far away, is what he says. And I took a picture of it, and I guess you can see that it is unidentified. It is flying. It is an object, but to me, it looks very, very organic. I mean, this looks, you can't really tell the size, but it looks like a seed. It's definitely got like spikes on it, like some organic things do, so they'll stick to stuff, stick to animals, stick to people, whatever. This may be a very, very big one, but it definitely looks like it's organic. Looks like maybe something got aloft in the wind, or he was out in Canada, maybe it blew off the top of a high place, but it definitely looks to me to be a very organic. He thought it was a turkey vulture. He said it kind of hovered for a minute, sat there, and then took off. It sounds, very weird. The way it fled from the scene makes him skeptical that it was a balloon, and because he was alone at the marsh at the time, he also doesn't think it was a kite that someone was flying. He noticed that they did some study, there were no weather balloons at the time, and he is labeling it a UFO because he doesn't know what it is. To me, it looks very organic, doesn't look like it could be powered by anything, but still, a fairly interesting picture. It's kind of a conundrum, isn't it? And if you have pictures of things that you think are weird, pictures of things that you think are scary, pictures of things you think are odd, send them to me. Doesn't mean I will use them, but I might use them. And this is a good example of something odd, but I don't think there's going to be any little green men coming out of that one, even though the thing itself is green. I found this fascinating out of the Daily Mail. Oh, those ads. Get off of there, ads. Anyway, low carb diets. Oh, I just want to just not even ever go to these sites again. Low carb diet mimics the effect on the brain ecstasy has on the brain. So if you're using a low carb diet, you might want to think about that, because the story was basically saying that low carb diet does mimic the effects of ecstasy in the brain, and there's concern that long-term usage of a low carb diet could also mimic the deleterious effects of ecstasy use on the body. Interesting stuff. I mean, I guess ecstasy puts you into ketosis, and I mean, just sitting here theorizing, and I'm certainly not a doctor, I don't even play one on TV, but I wonder if the effects, possible purported ecstasy-like effects of a low-carb diet what's the risk of those compared to the obvious risks of obesity or being overweight. But interesting stuff that a low-carb diet would mimic the effects of ecstasy on the body. So very, very interesting stuff. I never even dreamed that anything like that could happen. And there's some concern in the East Oregon town of John Day, and I mean, I've been there. I don't want to insult anyone in John Day, but it's a sleepy little town for sure. It is conservative, and they are upset because some folks are coming to a national forest, and they're coming for the Rainbow Family of Living Light annual gathering. It's a counterculture get-together that's expected to draw thousands of people. In the Malheur National Forest this week, about 600 Rainbow Family members have already gathered at a campsite. It's near Flagtail Meadow if you want to head out. And they're expecting between 10 and 30,000 people arriving by the 4th of July weekend. That's when the multi-day event peaks with a prayer for world peace. There's people with small children. There's those with disabilities, senior citizens. Those are the ones that are very upset about it. They live in the town near John Day. They're worried about bus routes, worried about keeping the place hygienic. Encourage everyone to bury their excrement. Another cause of concern is that it appears that it might be a clothing optional gathering. And the U.S. Forest Service has made a couple of arrests, handed out 31 warnings and 3 violation notices. Are making sure that the kitchens, the peace circles, and the latrines are located appropriately. There was a lot of concern last year in Vermont's Green Mountains whether the rainbows would pick up after themselves. They carved campsites out of the wilderness, but once they left last year, some do stay behind. In a couple of cases for up to weeks to clean up. So it seems like they do clean up after themselves. The Paiute Indian tribe says that the site's within their ancestral territory. They've asked people to be respectful. The land is sacred to them, said Tribal Chairman Joe De La Rosa. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And there's a lot of worry to me. People are furious over this. The weekly newspaper John D. said, not because it's a bunch of friggin' hippies, it's the different standards. The first rainbow gathering was held in 1972, and the get-together is held each year on national forest land. So it doesn't seem to me to be that big a deal. It seems like there'd be a lot of other things in the world to worry about, but I guess because there's not much happening in John Day, they get real worried about it. Now back to the low-carb diet. The diet flips your metabolism from burning carbs. Diet scores off breads. And they say that it can include loss of calcium and increased risk of kidney stones and growth retardation. Makes your body think it's starving. And it says that it can have the same effects as crazy ecstasy. Very, very interesting stuff. So there you go. Some interesting stuff. Even Italians are pitching pasta for low-carb diets. So a weird-looking UFO, ecstasy diet, and rainbow family upsetting people in John Day, Oregon. Something tells me everything's going to be all right. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, helping you unwind your mind, helping you unindoctrinate yourself. We'll be back today with much more programming. And until then, I just want to remind you to be excellent to each other.